Hey guys, this is Shelby with the Rogers Public Library. So this week for Full Steam Ahead, I wanted to talk to you guys about ships and boats, right? So the difference between a ship and a boat is basically just size, right? So boats are tiny, and ships are really big. Sometimes you can make, like other distinctions, you can say, well, ships are capable of going on the open ocean and boats aren't. Or you can say that boats can fit on ships, right? Because a lot of ships have lifeboats or have other types of boats they use for various purposes. But you can't fit a ship inside of a boat just because they're small. So the oldest boats, or at least the oldest boats that we know of, because boats are like so old that we don't really have like archaeological records of the earliest boats, right? People were making boats like 800,000 years ago. So we don't know what their boats look like because they don't survive. But the oldest ones that we know about, right, there's reed boats kind of like this. So this is a modern reed boat. It's from South America. Reeds are basically like sticks, kind of like really soft, flexible sticks. They grow near water. And then the other type of boat, and the oldest type of boat that we know of is called a dugout. So a dugout is basically just a log that's been hollowed out. And the oldest like intact boat that we have, or that we found, is like 9,000 years old from the Netherlands, right? So for a really long time, boats are made out of wood because wood is easy to use and it's easy and it's very buoyant, right? When you make a boat, it needs to float so that you don't sink in the water and drown. And most boats were propelled either by things called oars or punts, right? So you're pushing yourself through the power or through the water with your muscles, or by sails, right? So sails are big pieces of fabric. They're developed in different places independently. So like in Mesopotamia, and then also in what's called the island Southeast Asia. The island Southeast Asia is just a part of Asia that's kind of south of China, that's spread out over a bunch of different islands, right? So these people called Austronesians lived in the middle of the ocean, and they're like, hey, we can use sails and we can use wind to get ourselves places. But nowadays we don't really make ships out of wood. We don't make them out of, and we don't use sails, right? We use big engines that are used like stuff like diesel, or in some cases nuclear power, and they're propelled through water through stuff called propellers, right? So propellers are big blades. This is a Lego propeller, right? So ship propellers are made out of stuff like copper that is really durable and that tends not to get covered with barnacles, and they're really, really big. Like huge, like on really big ships, the propellers are bigger than people are. So that's kind of crazy. Yeah. So I'm going to show you guys how to make a little ship of your own, right? So this is an origami ship, right? A single piece of paper that's been folded up so to make a little vessel. So all you need for this is a single sheet of paper. This is just a piece of construction paper. It's rectangular, right? Not square. So you fold it in half. For the next step, or you don't have to fold it in half a second time, but it makes the next part a little bit simpler. So I'm going to fold it just to make a crease and then fold it back. And then I'm going to fold this side down into a triangle. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay. So now I'm kind of like a triangle with a square base, and with the rectangular base. I'm going to fold the base up like this, and then again on the other side. Okay. Now I fold it out. So, yeah, like so. Okay. So now it's kind of like a square, not really. I'm gonna fold these sides up, right? So like this, and then the same on the other side, like so, right? And then I'm gonna fold it out like this, right? And then I just pull. Ta-da! And then I'm just going to crease the bottom again because that makes it stand up a little bit better. So yeah, this is an origami boat. This is, they're the same, right? So ships, because they're so big, you can't really build them like in a factory or something. Instead, you have to build them in what's called a shipyard. And what a shipyard is, it's basically like, shipyards are made out of things called dry docks. And dry docks are factories that you can flood, more or less. So how that works is you start building a ship and then you add water, right? Because when you add water, ships that are made out of really heavy stuff like steel and concrete get lighter, right? Because they float because of buoyancy. And that means that it's a lot easier to move them around and to do stuff with them. So you like lay the foundations of the ship, right? Which basically just involves welding a bunch of metal together. And then once that's done, the dry dock is flooded, and then you do everything else. I mean, you watch videos of people making ship, it's really crazy, right? They like stick stuff together almost like Legos, right? Although instead of being tiny plastic bricks, they're massive prefabricated segments of like steel and concrete and a bunch of other really, really heavy stuff. It's like giant. Yeah, so this is our boat. It's floating, but as you'll see, it's wet, right? So if you don't want your ship to get wet, well, that's just what paper does, right? You can do a couple of different things, right? So this is a similar origami boat, but I've covered it in tape, right? So it can float all day long, and it doesn't get wet, and I can use it over and over again. This is also a boat that is just tape, right? There's no paper in it at all. So I don't know exactly how I made that one. I kind of just put a bunch of pieces of tape together. But yeah, so just duct tape. That's pretty much all you need to do to waterproof your origami boat. You can also try using different types of paper like wax paper or even aluminum foil, which is kind of like paper, to make a waterproof boat. Yeah, but that's what we have for you guys today. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time.